Greetings and salutations, friends! Some interesting news pertaining to the Epic Game Store has arisen. Some of you may know the game Phoenix Point. I made some mentions of it in previous videos. It is a turn-based strategy game in the XCOM style that was founded over on a Kickstarter-esque platform called Fig. On Fig, however, you also have the option of becoming a proper investor. And then, of course, if the game does well, you can expect a return on your investment in good old-fashioned cold hard cash. These investors have recently received an email from Fig, and in that email is the following, quoting, "We are thrilled to announce that holders of Fig Games shares Phoenix Point have already accrued a 191% return and 91% ROI. So that means that Phoenix Point has already earned a lot of money, and that investors can expect to see a 91% return on their investment already. One of the forum members did a little bit of math on this, and it suggests that this could mean that the Epic Game Store paid $2.25 million for the one-year exclusivity deal with Phoenix Point. That is a lot of money, and that money also, bear you in mind, probably does not include pre-orders, as this is so-called already accrued revenue, money already in the bank, and of course pre-orders, well, those could be cancelled, and indeed a fair few of them were after the whole Epic Game Store nonsense. Now, personally, I still think that the move to the Epic Game Store was extraordinarily cuntish and borderline illegal on behalf of the Phoenix Point devs, since they did not in any way consult the people who actually gave them the money to launch their game. Or, well, launch, it isn't launched yet, but to actually create it. But this is rather interesting for another reason. Phoenix Point is a fairly small game in a fairly niche genre, and yet Epic Game Store may have paid over $2 million for it. Imagine what they might have paid for a 6-month exclusivity deal with Borderlands 3, or how much money they may have paid for Metro Exodus. We're probably looking at $10 million plus probably as well. How much money could they have spent overall, one wonders? It could be quite a lot, couldn't it? I mean, big exclusives, Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Metro Exodus, Borderlands 3, and then The Outer Worlds. All of these are some pretty damn large titles and will have gotten some fairly hefty sums of money from the Epic Game Store then, if the Phoenix Point example is to be believed. And then there's the 20-odd other exclusives. I would not at all be surprised if Epic Game Store has spent something along the lines of somewhere between $50 to $100 million probably on all of these exclusives, and quite possibly even more. It certainly does make sense now that the Epic Game Store does not expect to make a profit for the next few years, because, wow, that's a lot of money in exclusivities only. Now, that's before all of the other costs of running a Epic Game Store, especially one that is barely bloody functional and is going to be requiring an absolute ridiculous amount of development time if it hopes to even be roughly comparable to Steam. Which really should have been a bit of a priority, shouldn't it? If they'd spent all of these millions upon millions of dollars making a storefront that was actually halfway decent, or at the very least mildly functional, they wouldn't have gotten all of this bad PR, and they probably would have made better inroads into Steam's market share than they have at this point. At least, in my humble opinion, that would probably be the case. This is a bit of an interesting precedent, though, and worrying one as well. If they've spent, let's say $100 million, just to be a little bit fanciful about it. That might sound like a lot of money, and it certainly is, but it is a drop in the bloody ocean compared to the vast quantities of dollaroos pouring into Epic every day through Fortnite, and, God help you, the potential money that Epic's Chinese overlords could spit into the pot. And by the way, Tencent quite recently freed up some $6 billion via bond sales, so whilst $100 million might sound like a lot, yeah, both Epic and Tencent could, if they were so interested in doing, sustain that money-burning furnace for a very, 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 very long time indeed. Which, by the way, brings up some rather frightening other potential thoughts, which I think I might turn into a video. Well, a rather depressing one, but for now, I'll wrap this one up here. What do you guys think? This is a lot of money, especially to be spent on such a title as Phoenix Point, and it does go a long way to explain why developers might leap at an Epic Game Store exclusivity. Not only is it a bigger cut per sale, but several $1 million just handed to you for a 1-year-long exclusivity deal? Wow, that could be rather difficult to resist. Very, very difficult to resist indeed. I mean, millions upon millions of dollars, that buys a lot of development time. Might buy a hell of a lot of advertisement as well. Indeedity-doo-dah. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for listening, and I hope to see you all again soon. Until then, have a good day.